Shalom, welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. We have a special guest, Rabbi Mordecai Darvish of the Gates of Mordecai. We're going to ask the big question today, the really, really big one, or one of the big ones. Why do American Jews vote overwhelmingly for the Democrats? When did it start? What happened? Why? It's the month, it's the week of the DNC, their convention. We're going to see what's going on. We're in Parsha. We're heading into Parsha Akev, so we're going to bring in a little bit of like the Torah and the brachas, the blessings promise if we follow the Torah. What's going on? Why are the Jews so attached to Democrats? Why don't the Jews know about the great blessings that we're going to get if we follow the Torah? We're going to jump right in. Any opening comments? Or should I jump right to this news article?
Jump right into the news
We're
article.
jumping right in. Hold on tight, folks. All right, we're going to bring up an article here. So this article, let me see. So I think this is in myjewishlearning.com. And it says, why are so many American Jews politically liberal? It says the post-war politics of American Jews were shaped more by Jewish experience than Jewish tradition, meaning right, not the Torah so much, but Jewish experience. So it says here sociologists, historians, and political scientists have offered various explanations of American Jewish liberalism in the political behavior of American Jews, 1956. Lawrence Fuchs, he argues that liberalism emerged ineluctably from Jewish values, which stretched the importance of charity and social justice. Fuchs' interpretation, as many critics pointed out, ignored the fact that there was no correlation between the intensity of Jewish commitment and liberalism. Jews living in the shtetl of Eastern Europe or in Orthodox neighborhoods in Brooklyn were less liberal than more assimilated Jews. Prominent Jewish leftists were often contemptuous of Jewish traditions and interests. All right, what do you say? You want to comment on this first paragraph here?
I don't know. What's he seeming to say that the Jews, align with charity and social justice because, that's the values that have been inculcated in them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth there. I mean, I think right. I mean, we've had the mitzvah tzedakah for 4,000 years. It's a big part of the Jewish people. We're a charitable people. And I think if you're not active so much in your shul, if you're not in a yeshiva, where's going to be your outlet for tzedakah? Where's your outlet for charity? And
Or
so there's,
is
yeah,
it something ingrained or like, because I wasn't, I didn't grow up with the concept of charity, being a secular Jew.
really?
Yeah, there
I
was
don't
no,
know. I don't
there
know.
was
I mean,
nothing.
I mean,
I
I
never
think
heard of it.
I think if you look across the board, though, if you look at the biggest donors to major organizations, you're going to have a lot of like very wealthy Jews, that are
What,
giving to these big, organizations, very, big
is,
support of the Democratic Party.
is it altruistic or is it you scratch my back, I scratch your back?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, there could be a little bit in industry, so let's say, I mean, so the big power centers, are going to be like the more secular Jews, they're going to be, in Hollywood, in the film industry. They're going to be on Wall Street or Madison Avenue in New York, and then the markets in Chicago or big business in Chicago. And then the very wealthy Jews, they support a lot of these big, they have foundations, they support a lot of the organizations. I mean, they're big donors to the Democrats. I don't know. I think it's really ingrained in the Jewish people. I think tzedakah,
Oh, look at you.
what?
Talking about the benefits, talking on the good side of them.
All right,
Talking about the good
okay.
side of them.
All right,
Wow.
that's there. So that's the first. Let's see further what this article says. So it says the explanation of Jewish liberalism as a fulfillment of Judaism also downplayed the fact that Jewish leftism was intensely secular and rejected the Orthodox definition of Jewish identity.
Right.
It is not,
So
yeah, it's not surprising that the Jewish socialist labor movement and the YIVO, not sure what that is exactly, founded in 1927 as an academic institute dedicated to the study of Yiddish and Eastern European Jewish culture, emerged in Vilna, the
yeah.
Jerusalem of Europe, as opposing definitions of Jewish identity in the midst of the most intensely Orthodox
Yeah.
community in Eastern Europe.
Okay. Stop. Full stop. Hang on a second. You know, the Ashkenazi Jew has manipulated or monopolized, monopolized, sorry, the actual conversation and about American Jewry. Yeah, I guess the majority of them are from Europe, but that doesn't mean every Jew, especially the ones from the Middle Eastern countries, aligns with their liberal,
Yeah,
westernized, secularized, ways to see the world. In fact, it's the opposite. They're much more conservative.
yeah, yeah,
Aligning more with tradition. So
yeah.
there is a split even within the Jewish people. So
Right. Yeah.
you really gotta, you really gotta speak out who you're actually talking about.
Right, that's a good point. I mean, right, this article is looking at first more through the Ashkenazi view, and right, and your family, your background is more from the Sephardi, Middle Eastern, and that's a whole different experience. Like the Sephardi experience, stayed much more traditional, wasn't assimilated as much as like the Ashkenazi Jews,
Yeah,
right?
it
Yeah,
wasn't. It
yeah,
was almost until they didn't come to the state of Israel or America, the
yeah,
westernized world,
yeah,
that they took on the secular liberal values,
yeah,
ways of living. And, up to then, they were very, very traditional, very,
yeah,
religion oriented.
yeah. All right, so it goes on. So it says another interpretation, look, not, oh, I want to say one more thing about like Vilna. So it's interesting that they're bringing up Vilna because you have the Vilna Gaon, you have the Gra, and he was in Vilna like in the 1700s. And then what the Vilna Gaon started, his student Rabbi Chaim Volozhin starts the first big major modern yeshiva, and that starts really the whole modern yeshiva movement coming out of the students of the Vilna Gaon. And so, right, so you have two very different cultures coming out of Vilna. You have like your Enlightenment crowd that's getting very involved with like, communism, socialism. And then you have the yeshiva world starting, which is now, what you call like the Orthodox world, the yeshiva world. So right, you have different, and then the Hasidic world also coming out of Eastern Europe from the students of the Baal Shem Tov. So you have like different like things happening, in that time. All right, so it says another interpretation looked not to Judaism but to recent history to explain this Jewish commitment to liberalism. So prior to the late 19th century, the Jewish political orientation in Europe and the Arab lands was passive. Jews feared the state and were detached from political involvement. Since the parties of the left in Europe in the 19th and 20th centuries favored Jewish emancipation and opposed anti-Semitism, Jews naturally supported the political left and distrusted the political establishment, which was often anti-Semitic. In addition, the growth of in Europe of an urban Jewish proletariat in the late 19th century encouraged Jews to look to various forms of socialism as a panaceas for their economic and social difficulties.
Right. So I think it says like this. It's like the Jews are the minority. And they tried whatever they needed to do to try to be accepted. So many of them left their religion and wanted to be accepted among the masses of non-Jews around them. And who were traditionally the people who were accepting? The people who have no religion, which is a secular left.
Mm.
They have no religion. They have no, moral compass. It's all subjective and changing with the times and the winds. And so, who's more accepting of them? It would be the left. And so that's what I guess it's a natural alignment right there.
Yeah. No, I mean, in some ways, right, it's a little hard to relate to all this because now it's like so easy. You can go to college or university, it's not a big deal. But I think when the Enlightenment first started opening up to the Jewish people, I think it was very severe. I think some Jewish people actually had to convert to Christianity to go to university, to actually be accepted to the European universities when it first started. They didn't accept Jews. It's like Jews were not at first able to go to university. Then I think eventually, as time went on, that begins to open up. But right, so there was this big drive of like assimilation and then getting involved in right, more like liberal causes. All right, so here we'll go on here. Um, these liberal and leftist political impulses were reinforced when Jews migrated to America. The Forward, the most important Yiddish daily paper, was a socialist journal. It had on its masthead the slogan, "Workers of the world unite." The political left in America, particularly during the 1930s, identified itself with the interests of what were termed the urban masses, which included Jews. In addition, the fact that Franklin D. Roosevelt led America into the war against Hitler, Yamach Shemo, intensified Jewish support for the liberal wing of the Democratic Party. Jews, Judge Jonah Goldstein jested, had three Welts, three worlds. Die Welt, this world, Jene Welt, the other world, and Roosevelt. Very cute. So that's interesting because in those days you had people like Charles Lindbergh. So I don't know which party he was associated with, but he was like a very public anti-Semite. You had Henry Ford, who was a very public, anti-Semite, actually published some anti-Semitic book. I think it was called like The Eternal Jew or something like that. So, and then you had literally like American Nazi Party out in public. I don't think they were big, but they were like out in public holding rallies for the Nazis, Yamach Shemam. So it's a very strange time. Also, it's kind of surprising because like Roosevelt really like dragged his feet, really isolationist at first, took a long time to get into the war until, the US was attacked in Pearl Harbor. So I don't know, it's strange. I can't really relate to it, but I guess FDR, played a big part in the Jews coming over. I say here, any comment on that, or we'll keep going? It's an
Uh,
interesting article. I don't know. So with good reason, Jews, which with good reason, Jews identified anti-Semitism with the right. This accounted for their interpretation of Nazism as right wing. Okay, this is I don't know. I don't know if this is like a historical recreation or I don't know. But let's see. So I mean, they're this. I never understood this. The National Socialists. They're how are
yeah.
they not how are they not every other left wing socialist? I really it seems really weird to me. But okay, here we go.
Well,
So
that's the great veil that
yeah,
they've
yeah,
convinced the world. You
yeah,
know what I mean? They just call the other side what they are. Call
yeah,
the other side Nazi because they become masters of propaganda, masters of the tongue. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's just like a snake. They say what they know what will arouse fear and arouse emotions in the other person. That's what they do. They don't speak logic. I mean, there's no logic to the Democrat Party. It's a
yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
You know what
Okay.
I
So
mean?
yeah. Okay, so this is interesting. So what the article? I think the article is fairly balanced here. So what it's okay, so it's saying this accounted for their interpretation of Nazism as right wing, as a
Mhm.
right wing reactionary movement,
Mhm.
despite the fact that the word Nazism stood for National Socialism. It's
Yeah,
like
nobody cares about definitions anymore.
yeah, right. So in addition, they attributed the rise of Hitler, Yamach Shemo, to the economic and social dislocations caused by the Great Depression. A society that provided good housing, jobs, unemployment insurance, healthcare, and educational opportunities would, they believed, be more immune to anti-Semitic demagogues. So liberalism was thus a bulwark against anti-Semitism. That's possible. That's not that could be, yeah. But
Exactly. That's how they framed it. They framed it as
yeah,
we're against anti-Semitism,
yeah,
and the Ashkenazic Jew has inculcated into people's minds that the Holocaust was the only great tragedy in Jewish history, and we must never forget that, despite all the myriads of other tragedies that happen,
yeah.
right? And so like it's a bullhorn. Anytime somebody says Nazism, it's like oh my god, you wake them up from a sleep. You're like, oh my gosh, she said Nazi. Nazi, that's the worst thing in the world. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? They're
yeah.
like Pavlov's dog. They hear the word Nazi. Oh my god, it's over, it's over. Get call the guards. They're going crazy.
I
You
mean,
know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, there's a famous midrash about like, whatever wild animal you were attacked by last, you remember that one and forget the one before. So really, like, I mean,
Yeah, but they've made other Jews who were never in the Holocaust afraid of that one too. They made the other Jews Pavlov's dogs.
okay, okay, that's true. But listen, but no, if we look at the Crusades, which, were about 1,000 years ago, if we go back, Spanish Inquisition, if we go back to the destruction of the temple, these are very far removed. I mean, these are thousands of years ago. So this great destruction of the Jewish people during the 20th century, it's leaving a huge mark. What I find fascinating is that the most recent, horrific attack is October the 7th, and that's being done by the Islamic terrorists. And that yet that still hasn't fully shook the Jewish people away from, like you're saying, like the Holocaust. They're looking at, the white Nazis, and we're being attacked by, Islamic, radicals.
What do you want? For 75 years, they put up museums, whether in Israel, whether in America,
Yeah.
Holocaust museums, Holocaust movies, Holocaust this, Holocaust remembrance, Holocaust that. You can't escape it if you're a Jew. You know what I mean? Like the Sephardic Jew, he didn't see any of it. Was all of a sudden afraid of it. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, they've used it as like a what do you call it, dog whistle? It's like
Yeah.
you say that word and oh my gosh, you got go into fear, go into the
Yeah, no,
crazy.
manipulating people by fear. And by the way, that's the Torah says that's the original way people were manipulated. The very first king on the earth was Nimrod, and he took the fear of the flood. He took the fear of Hashem bringing the flood on the world and used that to manipulate people, and he became the first king, right? And that was used to manipulate building, the Tower of Babel. Okay. All right, so wait, so then I'm losing a little. No, okay, so but right, it's strange. And it's so strange because like right, we still have all these Jewish people, they're still hostage in Gaza. They haven't been rescued. It's like these crazy, like whatever this latest peace negotiation, whatever is going on. That's like days and days and days keep going by. I don't see them rescuing the hostages, right? And it's weird that the freshest attack, you're right. People have been so conditioned to the 20th century, that the fresh attack, it's not even registering as much as it should. It's very strange. But
They've brainwashed people.
okay.
They have. Like you
I
can't.
agree. I'm not
You know
not
what I mean? Like otherwise, you use your senses. You're like, wait a minute. There was other destructions. There's destructions right in front of your face. You know what I mean? Deal with what's going on right now. No, no. 1945, World War II,
yeah.
Holocaust. It's ingrained in you. You can't think otherwise. You can't can't see past your nose. You know what I
No,
mean? It's
yeah.
insane.
No, I look, I agree. Like right outside the DNC right now, thousands and thousands, maybe like I don't know the exact number, but thousands and thousands of Hamas supporters, screaming from the river to the sea, all their garbage. And right, and where's that making an impression on people? It's very strange. All right, so let's move on a little here. So while favoring the amelioration of social and economic problems by a strong central government, the Jewish approach to politics also contained an anarchistic train, like anarchy. I'm sorry, I can't say it. So Jews had a deep distrust of authority because established political and social authority had threatened Jewish interests. The Jewish approach to politics was expressed by the rabbi's response in Fiddler on the Roof when asked to compose a prayer for the czar. He said, "Oh God," the rabbi prayed, "please keep the czar far away from us." It's funny. It's like it's a good joke. It's true.
It's
Like,
true.
I mean, we're asking Hashem's protection. Most of Jewish history,
Well, hang on a second, buddy.
here,
Hang on.
here we go.
Hang on. Don't go to Hashem, right? It's the live and let live policy. You know what I mean? Let me keep the goyim away from us. But it's really anybody. Anybody's like that. Like keep the government away from us. Let me do what I got to do, and that's it. It's like
Yeah,
what in school. Keep the principal away from me. Let me do what I want to play. I want to do what I want to do. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I
It's
hear, I hear. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick little segue. We're gonna go back to the article if we have time, but I want to do a quick little segue into Parsha Akev real quick while we're talking about all this. Wait, did I share the right? Let me see. So I want to say, so I just want to go through this first pasuk here. It's very interesting. So it says, this week's Parsha Torah portion, it says, Vahaya Akev Tishma'un Ace Hamishpatim Ha'ela. So if you will, if you follow, if you're very careful, like the heels of your feet, don't tread, to be very careful with the mitzvos of the Torah, especially the mishpatim, which are the mitzvahs, bein adam lechavero, how we get along with each other. The so-called like civil law mitzvos, how we interact with each other. And it says, Ushamartem v'yasisem osam. If you do them, if you guard them and do them, then it's very interesting. Then Vishamar Hashem Elokecha Lecha. Hashem, your God, is going to protect you. He is going to guard you. He is going to protect you. And if you guard the bris of Hashem, I'm sorry, Vishamar, I'm sorry, okay, Vishamar Hashem Elokecha Lecha Esa bris. If you guard the covenant meaning like we follow the mitzvos, we learn the Torah, we do our part, the esa chesed, and doing like acts of kindness, in the oath, that we made. So Asher Nishba Levaseka, that, was sworn by our fathers. It was sworn by the Ava. What? Here, you say it. You say it.
If
Okay.
you keep
If you
God's
keep it.
laws,
Right.
He'll
If you
keep
keep.
the covenant with you
Right.
and the
Okay.
chesed the kindness that He swore that He will do for your forefathers.
Right. So if we follow the Torah, then this is what's going to happen. Then via Hevcha uveracha v'hirbecha. That Hashem he's going to love us. He's going to bless us. He's going to multiply us. Uverach pri vitnecha. He's going to bless, you having children. Ufri admaseka. He's going to bless the fruit of the land. You're going to have all kinds of fruit trees and crops and vegetables. Visiro sheka, and all kinds of wine like vineyards. V'yitzhareka, like olive orchards, olive oil. Shigar Lefeka, and you're gonna have massive amounts of crops, the Ashtaros Soneka, and you're gonna be able to grow all kinds of plants and
No,
vineyards and
no, no, sown. There's
what?
animals.
What?
Sown. There's
Yeah, the
animals.
animals, right? The animals. No, I'm saying you can have all kinds of animals and livestock, and then it's Al Ha'adamah in Eretz Yisrael, on the land, in the land of Israel. Asher Nishba Lavosaka, that Hashem swore that He would give us the land of Israel. He swore to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, He'll give us the land. Lases Lak. Like if we keep the Torah, we're going to get all this reward. So that's like the disconnect, right? We're talking about in one breath, like we got so, like some of the Jewish people get so involved in the secular politics. We had this great blessing that we could get by following the Torah. And what happened? Like, where's the major disconnect?
A disconnect.
Yeah.
People started going after the Satan. Started after after the devil. You know what I mean? They started going after secularism, and that's it. They inculcated it into us, and we got trained in secularism.
But I don't think it's like, oh, people are not going like, oh, I'm going to become a Satanist. I think like we were isolated. We were locked in these ghettos.
Secularism is Satan.
Okay, I don't want to get into, okay, that's okay, but look, I'm looking at it like this. Historically, we're locked in the ghettos. We feel isolated. It's not easy to be the nation, the Ambadad. It's not easy to be the isolated nation from everyone else. And there's a great desire that people have to fit in, peer pressure,
If
be
if,
part of the
if
crowd.
you're if you're Jewish and with God, you have no desire to fit in
Okay, fine, but I'm saying for most people, there's a desire to fit
because
in.
they're secular.
But that's how
They've left God.
no, but
If you leave God, then you have nobody. You have to look to humanity. If you leave God, you have nobody
that's
else to
how
go
we
to.
yeah, that's how we became secular. It's the desire to fit in, and we left the Torah, Chas v'shalom, but some of us left it.
Desire to leave God, and so
Yeah.
we wanted to fit in.
Yeah, right. There is a little bit what you're saying too. It's like what you were saying before, like the teacher's away, what's it, when the cat's away, the mice will play. There's a
So
little
might
bit
as
of
well
that,
play. Exactly.
little bit of that going on. Okay. So let's see. So the Jews had a knee-jerk sympathy for dissenters challenging the legitimacy of constituted authority. This was exhibited in the many Jewish members of the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, the distrust of Jews of the police, and their willingness to give the benefit of the doubt to the powerless in any conflict with government or powerful economic interests. That's an interesting one. What do you think about that?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think we see this a lot right now. I mean, I think there's like, there's what's called, the George Soros, appointed DAs that he gave a lot of money for them to run. And these people are not prosecuting criminals. And it's becoming very dangerous. And you can't have a society. Look, if people, look, it doesn't matter if someone's from a minority, if they're a good person, great. Help them rise up in society, give them some help. But if someone's like hurting other people and someone's breaking the law, you can't have a society that you're going to allow crime just because someone's from a minority. It creates a very dangerous situation that we're in right now. You need to
Mhm.
have a society of law and order. You can't have like this anarchy or this, like, I don't know, like justifying like someone hurting someone else. You can't, society can't function like that.
Yeah. So what is this paragraph saying?
You know what it's saying. I know. I'll give you a great example. I mean, the greatest example is during COVID, no one's allowed out of their
But
house.
it says the Jews distrust the police.
Um, I mean that may become that may okay. So where's
And the
that come from?
and the police's willingness to
That
give
I
the
would say
benefit of
that's
the
more.
doubt
I would say
to
that's more
the
recent.
powerless.
That's more
So they
recent.
don't they
Or
distrust the government. What do you, it's
yeah,
framing it as if the government is the political right
yeah.
and the government is distrustful, and the Jews are knee-jerk reaction because they're the minority and they're distrustful of the government because they're getting the short end of the stick.
I mean, it could come from Europe, where we are very distrustful of the authorities in Europe. There was so much anti-Semitism. When we came in contact with any like police or any government official, we'd be treated really harshly. So that probably got carried over to America in some ways. Maybe. I
Hmm.
don't know. I mean, it's an interesting idea. I don't know. So in contrast to the Irish, Jews tended to view politics in terms of social and economic redemption, rather than as an opportunity for personal advancement. Largely excluded from the politics of Eastern Europe, most Jews did not believe politics was a place where a nice Jewish boy should pursue a career. Jews were influential in post war American politics as intellectuals, contributors, and voters, but not as politicians. Skeptical toward politicians, Jews are not skeptical toward the political process. For them, it is the means to create a better world. So I'd say this has really changed. Like I mean, we have I mean a lot of Jewish politicians now. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We got Deborah, Debbie
Again,
Feinstein. You
again,
know,
seculars
No, I
trying
mean, look, I
to,
mean, look, the head of the Senate right now. I mean, the Senate Majority Leader is Chuck Schumer,
yeah. So what?
Dianne Feinstein. I mean,
Exactly.
Josh Shapiro was almost picked as a Democratic.
Now, all these guys that you mentioned,
Yeah.
okay, for their nation, are they good or are they bad?
I mean, that's a whole different issue. I don't.
That's where it comes down to. Like, what the Jews are voting. Why are they voting? Are they voting for their individualism or their collectivism as Jews? You know what I mean? If they're voting for their individualism, who cares who makes the law? Who cares the senator is Jewish?
I
Big
mean,
deal.
okay,
Big
we're down
whoop.
to we're
You know what I
down to
mean?
10. Yeah, we're down 10.
Who care what we're down to?
Don't
It's a
care.
big, it's a big
Okay.
whoop. Who cares?
Okay.
He's a Jewish senator. Big deal. Well, is he gonna do I care one for Jewish collectivism or am I secularized just like that Jewish senator, right? And if so, then I don't care that he's Jewish because he doesn't help me, he doesn't benefit me, right? But if I say no, we're collectivism. We go into politics as a group. We vote as a group. We're one big block. Then yeah, it matters, right? You want to get in there, right? You want to get your hand in the ring. But I don't think that's what's going on at
Well, I
all.
see. Well, I see. It's. I mean, okay. I'm going to bring up a different concept, but I saw something very interesting recently. So Josh Shapiro, isn't he your like governor or something or whatever he is in Pennsylvania? No idea. Like so,
I
anyways,
don't know. That's what they say. I mean, I don't.
but he was a far superior VP, vice presidential pick than this
Based
Walls.
on what? Based on
Then
what?
then
What
this
does the vice
Wall.
president do?
Okay,
What
okay,
does no, no, no?
it's
Based on
getting too
what
off
does
the
the
rail.
vice
But okay,
president
but
do?
you're not letting me make my point. It's getting too off the rails. Okay, but he was a far superior candidate than this guy Walls from Minnesota. But they were so worried about the anti-Semites in Dearborn, Michigan, that they'll lose Michigan if they have a Jewish
That's what
vice
conservatives don't
president.
understand. It's
Yeah.
about winning the game. They
Right.
don't
Okay.
they don't care. As I asked you, it was like, what's the point of a vice president? What does he actually do? So the qualifications, it doesn't matter. You could be a Rhodes Scholar, you could be like a genius, you could be Ben Carson, a brain surgeon. What does it matter? It doesn't matter to them. To them, it's winning the game. And that's what conservatives still haven't gone through their thick heads. Okay? They haven't. Doesn't matter they're Jewish, whatever race, form, rank they come from. They haven't gotten to the thick heads that it's a race to win the game. And it doesn't matter who is in there. That's what they showed with Biden. The guy's like half dead. Okay. And he's president, the highest office in the land. A brain dead 82-year-old geriatric person, you kick, he'll fall down. You flick him in the nose, everybody might fall down. Right? What is a better candidate, like a better, more qualified
Hey,
to do
hey,
what?
he,
To
hey,
do
Biden
what
faced
exactly? Who's been running the country? Who's
Okay,
running the
let's
country through the debates?
yeah,
Okay,
okay, okay.
who's been doing it? Like, explain it to me. Okay, more qualified to do what? To stand in front of a podium and say, I feel a better tomorrow. I promise you, with Obamacare, you'll get to keep your doctor. Oh, he's qualified. Oh, that guy's good. That guy's good. He's a good BS artist. Come on, man.
Come on, man. All right, let's finish up the last paragraph here. All right, so whatever its origins, liberalism remains a major component of American Jewish identity after 1945. The most eloquent post-war defense of Jewish liberalism was Leonard Fine's 1988 volume, Where Are We? The Inner Life of American Jews. Fine, the founder of Moment magazine and a former professor at Brandeis University, wrote this book at a time when Jewish liberalism was under increasing attack from Jews. Viewing assimilation as unfaithful to American and Jewish tradition, but cognizant that less than 10% of American Jews observe the traditional commandments of Judaism, the mitzvos. So
Yep.
Fine argued that only a commitment to economic justice can serve as our preeminent motive, the path through which our past is vindicated, our present warranted, and our future affirmed. Reprinted with permission from A Time for Healing, American
Yeah,
Jewry's
yeah, yeah,
Part
yeah,
2, published
yeah,
by the Johns Hopkins University Press.
yeah.
Okay, let it
Why'd
rip.
you why'd you add that little tidbit in there?
I don't know. I thought it was
Big
cool. It was
deal.
Johns Hopkins. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Basically, it was saying Jews aren't really Jews, and they vote for what seems right in their eyes, and yada yada yada. They become secularized, and these are their values as a
Right.
collective whole. Basically, he wasn't speaking for anybody Sephardic, all about the Ashkenazic Jewry, and he wasn't speaking for anybody religious. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they actually got their head, screwed on right. It's seculars that are
No,
going
but I
down that
think, but I think it,
rabbit
I
hole.
think it made, I think the article made the point that you're bringing up right now. It's like the Jews that left, like the religious life, they left really learning the Torah and the yeshivas, doing the mitzvos. There was an empty hole. There was an emptiness in their life that had to be replaced, and you had to replace it with something. So it's like when you're not spending your days learning Torah, doing the mitzvos, unfortunately, they ran after they ran after liberalism, ran after socialism, ran after communism. They had to replace it. There was an emptiness in their life, and they had this fantasy that liberalism was going to, bring what the Torah promises, bring the tikkun haolam, and it's a fantasy. It's a like look what it
I
brought.
don't know if that article said that all that. You're giving them
It
way
did.
too
I'm
much
not.
credit.
I'm right. That's
No, 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 no,
okay.
no.
Okay.
It didn't say the word tikkun olam. That article did not say tikkun olam. No, 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 no. That article didn't say that. No.
Well,
Everybody's looking out for their self interest, and that's it. And they see their self interest more aligned in the liberal left. That's all.
but I'd say this. I say it's
But that's getting destroyed now because like Jews have money. Like they're not like economically worried. They don't need some social benefit for the most part, right? And why are they doing it? For me,
yeah.
it's just like they picked sides. They just
Yeah.
hitch their wagon to it. They don't care. They could care less about Israel. Like the Jews on the right are like Israel. How can you go against them? The liberal Jews are like, I don't have any allegiance to Israel.
But that, right, so you bring up a great point. So now it's interesting, right? We just been doing this for decades. Now a lot of Jews are middle class, upper middle class, or some Jews are even like upper class. So why now? Just because we've been doing it for so long, it's like a habit, but we're not the underdog in a sense in America right now. So what are we still gaining from it? We're not really gaining anything. And
No,
what
this
did
is
you but what
they
did you
hopped on the train without thinking. There's no critical thinking once they've already hitched their wagon to the Democratic Party. Like they don't even think anymore. It's just like, oh, of course I got to vote for whoever's on the left because the right is awful. They're Nazis. They don't think anymore. There's no nuance. There's no like, hey, but look at the policies. Look what they did. It doesn't matter. Look who would you rather run? A businessman or a career politician? Well, it doesn't matter. Who would
No,
you
it's
rather guy? A guy who could think and speak? It doesn't matter. Like a woman who slept her way to the top? It doesn't matter. Nothing matters because they closed off their head.
right. So I think right, unfortunately, right, it's like you said, a Pavlovian training. And what they're missing out on is they're missing the great blessings and protection we get from following the Torah, and the secular fantasy is not leading us anywhere. It's actually like society is being destroyed. Like these ideas, these philosophies are very harmful, and society's breaking down.
They
And I
don't
think,
care.
and
They don't. They
I think
don't
there's a crisis
care. They
in,
don't care. Marx was a Jew, led to millions of deaths.
or
They
Arab.
don't care. They don't care. It's just it's a Pavlov's dog. You know what I mean? They don't care that the American universities, burning Israeli flags and Hamas is championed over Israel, innocent little babies being microwaved. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They are programmed. They are, as Yuri Bezmenov said. Okay, they've been socially conditioned, and that's it. You need 15 years of sitting them in a room with their eyelids taped open and their ears perked up and blast in them actual common sense and conservatism for them to change, and they're not changing.
Okay. That's all the time we have for today. Please like, share, subscribe. Please leave all the comments. We may get blasted with comments. This one may go super viral. We'll see what happens. If you like it, if you hate it, let us know what you think. Share it with your friends. Let's see what your friends think. We hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah and the Gates of Mordecai.